Good evening, on Graham.
Skazz.
Welcome to episode 249 of the Rand Nerds podcast.
249, that's nearly 256. Put it on your
Nearly,
calendars.
not long now, only a few weeks away.
Surprised we're still going, mate.
Yeah, we've been pushing through. We're making it. We're gradually losing subscribers on the YouTube channel. We've lost another one.
Are we?
Yeah,
you didn't even tell me we'd lost one to start with.
We lost one a few months ago. We lost another one. Which people
what
may
a
think
shame.
sounds really good. It's like, hey, those guys have only lost like one subscriber in a few months. Yeah, we didn't start with very many, so it doesn't.
Yeah,
that one
We
person
only gain one like every 5 years.
That one person represents quite a high percentage of our subscriber base, so it's not great when people sort of.
Probably because you and Middlemeister ain't doing that Doctor Who stuff.
Probably actually. I missed out this year on doing Doctor Who because I was so behind, but I'm tempted to go back and redo it all. And your camera is frozen in a really amusing position for your eyes. Your eyes look it's really quite funny.
My internet just freaked out. It's been doing it all day, so just bear with me.
Okay, well hopefully.
Or it might be yours actually, because you went robotic.
Oh well, we'll see on the YouTube live stream.
So you didn't do Doctor Who because of why?
It was unfortunately it just didn't fit the timing this year. I basically I wasn't set up to do it, and just couldn't get around to setting and doing it. I'm losing you.
Just give me 1 second, because this is not good.
I'm just going to check my task manager, because last time I had a rogue task that was causing me issues with Discord.
Yeah, this wouldn't be the same issue that you and Zaber had that time, would it?
Yes, it would be. Okay.
Oh dear.
No, it's not on there. It's behaving itself.
Well, we'll cross our fingers. Keep going. Just grit your teeth and bear it.
Let's close down all those tabs, and that'll make a little bit of a bonus. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's all saying quite happy. But yeah, so basically it just didn't work out very well this year for me, time wise. So I wasn't set up for it, and once I got behind on one, it felt like I then had to go back. I intended to sit down and do them all now, and then just upload them all anyway.
Yeah.
I'm tempted.
Would you get Middlemeister in, or?
I might get him in for like an end of episode. Normally, it's game in for like an end of series discussion, so we might do like a big discussion of all the episodes. So I used to do reviews, used to be spoiler free or spoilerish free. I might put some minor ones in if it was necessary for the review, and then the end of series discussion we wouldn't was assumed you'd watched everything and we would spoil everything. That was how we all worked it. But I might sort of see about getting him in for some stuff. I wanted to get him as well to. I had an idea of doing some reactions to like because he's never watched any of the original Doctor Who's. I say regional, not the lawsuits. And I was like, well, they're all on because they're all on iPlayer now. BBC have got every single one's on iPlayer. So I was like, well, why don't we go through, watch them all, and you can watch them and with me, and I've still seen them all before, but you can sort of like get your sort of like first thoughts on them, which I thought would be a neat idea.
What I heard of that sounds like a fantastic plan.
Yeah, your internet's really playing you up, isn't it?
Well, I hope it's mine, but it's been pretty shit all day. So apologies all the way through. If I sit here going and I can't I'm like, yeah, Ram, sounds great. It's because all I'm hearing is all the way through. So just yeah.
Well, it's a good job you've not been playing anything then, is it really?
Yeah, well, I can't. That's actually part of the problem, you know?
Yeah. Oh.
So I was prepping to do something, and then just everything has gone completely wrong, right? For one reason or another, I can't remember why, because chaos. I was looking into setting up a PlayStation Vita TV.
Mm-hmm.
Or even just a PlayStation Vita. Because, well, actually, I know roughly why. I wanted to go through the East series again, because East 10's coming out in a couple months. So I was going to just randomly, just go have a bit of a refresher of the story and stuff. And I had this random itch to play the PlayStation Vita versions of some of the East games, because majority of the East games, modern East games, were released on PSP, the PlayStation Portable. And then some of the newer ones were released for PlayStation Vita. And I thought, well, I have both. Let's go through those. And my handheld. And I dug out the Vita TV. Couldn't find the cables for either. So I ordered some wonderful cables from China. I managed to cobble some cables together, just the same off the PlayStation network, because whilst you can't really do anything with the Vita TV anymore, and stuff like that.
I will say you're dropping out terribly just now, so you've dropped about 3 times.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, that's all right, because my camera's going to cut out in a minute anyway. And
I'll get to listen back. I'll get to listen back to all this on the podcast.
Yeah, everything's broken. Just everything's broken. But right, I cobbled together a setup to get it all to work. Managed to try and download Cell Setter, or I managed to download Cell Setter off the PlayStation Store, and it died. Not the Vita, the memory card, the proprietary memory card on the PlayStation Vita just said, you know what, mate, I've been alive for all these years. Fuck you, and then it killed itself. Replacements of those memory cards, if you're looking for new ones, the only place I found them is about 200 quid. Fuck that. So I looked into other ways to get memory on a PlayStation Vita. You can hack the Vita to run regular memory cards in it if you get like a game cartridge to SD card adapter or whatever. Then found that the Vita TV won't play East Memories of Cell Setter, so I went through the other ones on PSP, on a PSP emulator. I thought I'll go through Cell Setter on the Vita TV. And no, Vita TV, the European version of Memories of Cell Setter won't work on the Vita TV because whitelist, which was one of the problems with the Vita TV back when I spoke about it all those years ago, like 10 years ago or whenever it was. And the thing is, the whitelist is region specific. So if you play the European version of Cell Setter, it doesn't work on a Vita TV. If you bust out the American version of Cell Setter, European was NIS America, American version was Xseed. The Xseed version has been patched to work on the Vita TV. So whitelists suck. Managed to sort out an American version of Cell Setter. Got that going as I was downloading all my stuffs on my new memory card SD to Vita setup. And then the fucking power supply blew up and took out my house. Not literally, I didn't like nuke the whole house, but it failed.
He lies. This is that's the only room that's left is one he's in.
Yeah, like this is it. Like if you open that door, I'll just fall. Right? There's nothing left. Right?
He's like, his house is built like Minecraft. It's all voxels, and he's somehow that room survived.
That's it. That's it. This is it. There is nothing left. I will just fall to my death if I open that door and go. It's bizarre, right? Because it took out. So I came home and I was like, well, the Wi-Fi doesn't work. Wi-Fi's not on, or the phone says it's connected to Wi-Fi, but there's no Wi-Fi. My mum commented on the fridge light not working. I was like, whatever. And then we realized the TV and all that weren't working. And well, I was using my PlayStation 5 power cable into this PSP power brick, and to run into the Vita TV, and the cable had just gone bang, mate. The kind of hooky Chinese power brick had nuked the PS5's cable. Thankfully, it was just a fuse, but it had just gone bang and it stank. And then that tripped the power to the house. But ever since then, a whole bunch of stuff isn't working properly.
Oh dear.
So, rock on. But I still haven't finished downloading all of my stuff from the PlayStation Network yet. So whilst I had planned to play things, I can't. Like I'm still. That's actually what I just paused to get to try and sort out the whole internet thing. I was stopping the Vita TV from downloading games at a whopping 1 megasecond, But yeah, just I haven't had a chance to play anything. So I'm
Oh.
a bit pissed. I'm super psyched that I've got my PlayStation Vita back, my Vita and my Vita TV. Hacked the Vita TV. Hacked Vita TVs can still go online, by the way, which is pretty cool. Although Sony probably will ban you for a system they haven't made since 2019 eventually. But so far it's working fine, and I'm enjoying it so much so I've gone and ordered a PS Vita 2000, which is the slim version of the PS Vita, so I can just chuck one in my bag because Steam Deck's too big to put in my bag.
Oh.
And I've got seriously, man. Do you remember my rants about the PlayStation Vita back in the day, or the Vita TV and the whitelists, and here's a game when it doesn't work.
Yeah, I remember vaguely about it, and
long time ago, the hacks now make the thing damn work. I'm so psyched, man, because I bought shit tons of games. Which is kind of stupid considering the proprietary memory card thing and the very expensive memory card you could buy was a 64 gig. 64 gigs was very expensive back then. But I had more games than would fit on a 64 gig card. So, but now, because I can do the SD to Vita thing, I can put a shite ton of, more games on there, more of my games on there. Which is it's rad. I can have, near enough my entire collection. And then find that half of them you can't play on the Vita TV anyway, because it's got a fucking whitelist. Do you want to play the first one of Hyperdimension Neptunia, Neptunia Rebirth 1? Do you want to play that on your Vita TV? Haha, you can't. But the second one, we've patched that one to work on the Vita TV.
Who wants to play the first one? Why would want someone to do something crazy like
Yeah,
that?
man, it's fucking stupid. Why would you do that? Why would you want to play the first one? Admittedly, some of the games have been patched since I last played on the Vita TV, but I was fucking gutted, mate. And then when I found out that when my memory card failed, I lost all my fucking save files, mate. I was like, no.
Oh.
Some of them are backed up onto the PSN cloud thing, and then others have just been sent into the abyss. But that whitelist was so fucking stupid, Sony. So stupid, especially for games that didn't need it. And the fact that it was regional specific.
Oh, good old Sony.
Fun. But, until then, we'll just have to keep playing Blood Bowl.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's fun.
So, assuming my internet is picking up a little bit, and you've heard me rant for all this time, let's get to the meat of this podcast, because fucking, if my internet's cocked it, you can't hear a word I'm saying anyway. Ram, what have you been playing? And I will nod and smile as if I can actually hear you.
Well, we'll go from the start, that was Skazz, into the main course that is mine. So, let me cast you back to 2019. 2019, I'd gone self-employed. And I had some spare time. What I was going to do in that spare time was going to do a little bit of work for somebody else, but I was going to start building my own game. And I had a few ideas around, and I came up with this idea of a game. I was going to build it in Unity, and it was going to be it was going to be a voxel based game, and you were going to be able to build your own spaceship in the game.
Or my house.
In
voxel based.
In voxel, it's primarily based on space. You build a spaceship out of voxel blocks. You know, fit engines to it, and have to fly. You could fly it about, you could balance it, and then there were going to be planets you could land on and do stuff with. So I started building this game. And I'm working on it one afternoon a week. I wasn't going to get very far. And then 2020 happened. And something happened in 2020 that meant I had 5 weeks off. So I had 5 weeks basically I can't remember what it was in 2020 that happened, but something happened.
I got married, so you had a 5-week holiday.
That's it, yes. And I had 5 weeks off, and I basically spent it just working on this game. And then, of course, work went back to normal, so I started going back into work, and it's I made some progress, obviously not really very far, because we do it by yourself, but I didn't get particularly far with it anymore, and did it off and on, but wasn't really making a lot of progress on it, so it died for me, which was a shame, because I liked the idea. And then August 2020, somebody released a game called Empyrion Galactic Survivor, which is a voxel-based game where you basically have voxel-based planets that you can mine for resources and stuff, and you can also build your own ships custom in a voxel-based system and fly them about. As like somebody downloaded this game, had the same thought process as me, except they had a team of people who could do it, and the resources and the time to do a far better quality job than I ever could. And so they.
I disagree. Yeah. I don't believe you.
And what was even more crazy is I hadn't heard about this until last month, when it came up on Humble Bundle as one of my free games.
Humble Bundle.
So I picked it up. I was like, that's exactly the game I wanted to play. To make. It's like this is great. Someone else has done all the hard work for me. So I've started it, and I've been playing it, and it's called. I'm going to check the name of it because I often get the name wrong. It is called
Ram's Voxel spaceship game.
Empyrion Galactic Survival is the name of the game.
Is that on my wish list?
It is on your wish list. But then, Skazz, every game's on your wish list.
This game hasn't given me everything yet.
I'm pretty sure when the Steam page loads, the little section that says one friend wants this game view is just a static image now. It doesn't bother actually loading it dynamically and checking. It just assumes it's on your wish list and just pops it on there. So it's a survival game. It's all about sort of surviving on planets. You have to build a base. Some bases you can build quite basic ones. Some you need to have a base because some planets are inhospitable, and like there might not be no atmosphere or high radiation. So the base is your protection. You can then build spaceships, and then you can fly to other planets and do it again. And you mine the planet's resources, and it's neat. So the game starts if you like a drop, like an escape pod landing on a planet, and you have start with nothing. You can do sort of basic crafting yourself. You don't need any other sort of more fancy things. Like it's got the usual sort of mechanics of crafting and so forth that you expect these sort of games. One nice thing is, being a sci-fi game, you don't craft an axe to cut down trees. You cast a resource tool, which is basically a gun that sucks the wood out of trees or sucks everything out of stuff. So you just walk up to things, fire this gun, and it sucks the stone out of the ground or the wood out of the trees or the metal or the iron ore out of rocks. And
I would like to separate wood from trees, please.
Yeah. But what's really neat is it's also your defense. It has a defensive mode as well. So you can like shoot and attack things with it as well. There's another mode.
Eject wood from my gun into that object.
No, just like I don't see why the tool that allows you to, the mode that allows you to extract things out of things should be pretty devastating to everything living. I'm going to extract the wood out of this tree.
Extract its skull.
Yes, yeah, but no, you have to switch to a different mode. There's a third mode. I can't remember what it does.
Bone marrow mode.
Yeah.
Blood mode.
Yeah. I need some blood. Here we go. Bit of iron.
Transfusion mode.
Yeah. Yes. You suck out one, you can thump it into the other. And there's a third mode that has, I can't remember what it does because I've never used it. You can also construct like a basic tent, which is what you can sleep in overnight for safety.
Insemination mode.
That's what we have on the pigs. Just don't get them mixed up. You have like a scanner as well, so you'll find like your resources is like you got like there's wood for trees. That's like rocks, which will have like iron ore, copper ore, silicone. There's carbon as well. You find carbon deposits. I suppose it's like coal. You can also have a scanner which will like locate big deposits underground, and it's a voxel-based game, so it means you can sort of like dig down and dig in any direction. What I haven't tried doing yet is going through the planet, because you are on a planet. You could literally walk around the whole planet in a circle and up to the poles, down to the other poles and stuff. It's a full modelled, obviously not to a proper scale. That would be impossible. It's a bit like, have you seen the Rick and Morty episode where they land on this planet? They can literally like walk around in about half an hour.
No.
No, well, if you had it, it'd be like that. You can walk. You can you can walk around the planet fairly quickly if you go to. But it's just sort of like neat. The idea you can just slide to the poles and stuff. What's really neat as well is they've modelled a day and night cycle, obviously in it, but that's based on how the planet rotates, which means you can chase the sun. Because
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, and also as you get further from the equator, as you get further with the equator, cause it tells you how long it's for like sunrise or sunsets. That will change how close you are to the equator, because also you have a longer time period. Whereas if you get to the poles, it basically sun never really sets, so it changes very little. So and you can just sort of dynamically watch it. That's a really neat little detail. That's really fun and neat. They sort of import it in that, so you can sort of like chase the sun, or likewise you can run away from it and go into the darkness and so forth. You need to like craft a tent to sleep in overnight, which is just initially protected till you start building a base. What you will find is it's very easy to get resources very quickly. You can build I was building a pretty big base within the first couple of hours.
Would you say this is like Ark Survival Evolved level where?
What I will say is, it's Ark Survival level. You got a lot of resources very quickly. This is very similar. However, I will say this. Yes, you do get resources very quickly. However, to get to the next steps, like building a spaceship, you need a fuck ton of resources. Like basic stuff. So you have to work for those. So building a base is really quite easy, very simple. You shouldn't have much problem doing that. Getting enough to build a spaceship is going to take some work. And building the capital ships, which are really big fucking ships, can take an awful lot of work. So there is also sort of tutorial modes on it as well, which is very both helpful and unhelpful. So some stuff it will tell you like with videos to show you how to do. Some stuff it gives you no guidance whatsoever. So I kept having an issue where if I go into water, I would sink like a stone and I would just sit and I couldn't get out. And I would sit there and I basically just drowned. Or if I could sort of like drag myself up the sort of side of the bank and get out of water, it's like my guy just couldn't swim.
You need one of those guns with the mode that extracts water from the lake.
Yeah. I've got a funny thing about the water from the lake. I'll tell you this then. And the reason I afterwards I thought I'm missing something here, because I know in like most games, and it's jump means go up, crouch means go down. That's how it normally functions. And this game does the same for like there's actually if it mentions this in the controls and stuff, and like when some of the other vehicles you use it, that's how it works. Jump goes up, crouch goes down. Well, I was like, I'm doing something stupid here, so I end up googling it, and it turns out you can't swim if you've got something in your hands. So if you've got a gun equipped, you can't swim because your guy basically can't move his arms apparently. So you have to unequip the weapons and then jump will work. So your guy literally gets in the water, just sinks like a stone, and he won't even try and swim a little bit to get up to the surface. He'll just sit there and drown. It's like, okay, I really wish it had told me that. And it may have done briefly, but in a very short message. But I really wish it told me you can't have something. Or listen to a reminder message like when you're on the water saying, "Oh, by the way, when you're underwater, you can't. If you've got something equipped, you won't be able to swim." So I died many a time for no good reason. One, to bullshit spawning, but because I spawned into it's just
You spawned into a lake and you had hold of your ship.
I spawned when I was driving, because I was going from one area to another. The game sort of reloaded itself to like as you transition from an area, and I was riding a hover bike, and the hover bike was hovering over the water. Then when it reloaded, it briefly undeconnected me to the hover bike. So the hover bike felt like a stone, and I went with it. So
right, I was about to say, did you just go kind of driving into the lake, and all of a sudden your guy was like, "Oh, hang on a minute, I can't swim." Doesn't let go of the steering.
It was something like that. But I managed to swim myself. I figured out swimming now. That's all right. Figured out swimming.
Have your 5 meter certificate, mate. I'm proud of you.
But yeah, you can explore the planet around. There's lots of points of interest. There's a full storyline in this, but it sort of kept in the background. There is a storyline there. There's like some sort of like very early on you'll find I found very early on, depending on which direction you go in, I found like this big alien obelisk, which I wasn't sure what it did. And it's like, I'm sure this is going to be important later. And it was important later, but I missed how important it was for a very long time. you can sort of walk around sort of the territories. You'll come across factions. There'll be like alien races on the planets, and they'll have territories. You go talk to them, and you can do missions for them. And they're not being very complicated, but if you gain their trust, because by default, if they're neutral to you, you doing stuff in their territory, like for example, if you like sort of start mining in their territory, they get a little bit upset by it. If you start like killing like nice animals or attacking them and so forth, they get a bit upset by it. But
It's
if
not
you
very
get,
neighbourly, is it?
but if you get friendly with them, they don't worry so much, and they'll trade with you more. I will say, I had to go find this village, and it's at the top of a really tall mountain. A really long way. I thought, that's a lot of walking to go around there. But I thought, this is a voxel-based game. So I literally aimed aimed at the village, just started mining through a mountain and built a very long tunnel all the way through this mountain to the village.
Oh dear. Good plan.
There are creatures that wander around. Some are harmless, some are hostile. There are obviously like there's biomes, so like you'll have like a foresty areas, you'll have like deserty areas. Arctic. They seem fairly well. So the Arctic areas you'll find up the top of the poles, which makes sense. And there's you'll find they do seem sort of well planned out, like where they're going to encounter them. They do feel sort of, I won't say realistic, but they feel like sort of some planning. But I'm not sure how much is that just by luck, the random number generator that I've got, or if it's all randomly generated, procedure generated, or is it by just how they have got some sort of code in there to try and make it planets to work logically. Very quickly after exploring, and I got a bit blasé on my first planet because there's nothing really. The first planet you land on, there's nothing really particularly hostile. There's a few hostile creatures, but nothing particularly dangerous. And you meet this nice faction called the Talon, and they sort of like are quite friendly with you. And I got near the poles, and I come across some old what looked like abandoned bases. I thought, oh, I'll go have a look for those. Walked up to open the door, and this cyborg just sat there and shot me in the face. It's like, shit, ran away from him.
I've been shot in the face.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I was like, shit, my health is gone. Ran away, and I was like driving along, and I managed to find another little location. And I thought, oh, that looks interesting. And the game actually promises, they said, you've discovered like some ancient base. Be wary though, there might still be people guarding it. It's like, I'm sure I'll be fine. So this time I was a bit more cautious. I snuck up onto it, and I did see a cyborg. The only reason I know it's called cyborg because when they killed me, it said you were killed by assault cyborg, damaged. And I shot it, and it turned
face.
Yeah, I shot it, and then I thought I got it, and it turned out there's about 1,000 of them, and apparently my weapons.
That's a bit of escalated pretty quickly there. There's about 20,000.
Well, the game has a thing that when you die, you drop your backpack, and then you could go to the backpack and pick it up. By this point, I had quite a lot of stuff of useful stuff in my backpack. This is quite far along. I've been crafting quite a lot of medicines and stuff. So I did try several times to go back and pick it up, and that just failed miserably every single time. Yeah, that didn't go well. So things you have to sort of look out for, sort of survival-wise. The two ones sort of picks out for your map is like temperature and radiation. So as you go through different parts of the planet, the temperature will change, obviously, and it gets obviously cold and become hostile. Now, what's interesting, unlike, say, I don't think Ark was like this. As soon as you entered a cold area, it's like, you're in a cold area now, you're going to die. This game doesn't. It actually has like a body temperature stat, and then you're in a cold area, that body temperature will start to drop, and then it becomes dangerous. And the same for hot temperatures. So you can actually, in hot temperatures, work all right for some time, and then it'll become dangerous. So it's not like, oh, it's hot, really hot. And obviously how quickly your body temperature goes up depends on how cold or hot it is, depending on how much it changes. But I like that fact that it's not an immediate change, and it's just like, oh, you've hit the threshold, -1, you're now going to start losing health and so forth. It's been a gradual thing. So you can sort of like do some sort of like, you can have like, okay, I'll rip through there, grab a few bits and get out before I get too cold, which is really like how real life is. You can go work in hot temperatures for some time, but as long as you make sure you don't do it all day long, you'll be all right. I like that. So I thought that was a neat little thing. you have your health, you have food. Food is there's no water bar for this one. It's only food. Water is only good for basically if you're hot, it makes you cools you down. So drinking water cools you down, and likewise, if you're cold, drinking coffee warms you up. So you make sure you carry lots of coffee and water with you wherever you go on a hot planet. Stamina, worse as you expect, like normal. Interesting about stamina is when your food bar goes down fairly steady rate, and it does seem dynamic. It does seem if you move more. So when I was like not going very far building my base, my food hardly dropped at all. When I'm sort of like going cross country, fighting, hunting, scouting, it drops off a lot more because you're exerting yourself more. What's interesting is I think what it does is your stamina bar. As your stamina bar refills, the food like drops down really quickly to like refill it. It's almost like the food refills the stamina bar. Not like a 1-to-1 ratio, but like 1 to like 20 like ratio. So doing a lot of running around will go for your food really quickly. There's also an O2 bar, which is by default is not there, but only appears when you have like a spacesuit on, which has an oxygen supply, and then when you use an oxygen supply, you'll see it go down. Otherwise, it's at 0 because you ain't got an oxygen supply. So if you're underwater, you drowned. But it's again works quite well. Oh, you also have a little drone. You have a little drone that you can fly off, and the drone, the drone basically copies whatever you've got a crypt. So if you have like a light crypt, the drone will have a light. If you have your resource tool equipped, the drone will then use the resource tool. Wherever it's pointing, it will use it. If you have it also fires a gun. If you've got a gun equipped, I'm not sure. I've not tried shooting with the drone at something, see if it comes from where the gun is. But it seems to come from the gun. It's when I've accidentally done it. But the drone is used because obviously when you're mining straight down, it means you can go straight down because the drone can fly. You don't have to worry about sort of like have to dig like a tunnel down an angle to make sure you can get in and out. You just go straight down and you can sort of dig out the whole like area and come back out and you're fine. Mm-hmm. I did try with the drone, and I talked about water earlier, how water works in this game, and it's a little bit bizarre. So let's say in Minecraft, water is generated by a water block. Yeah. And if you come across a water block and you dig, let's say you find a lake the other side, like a distance away from your base. As long as that lake's got water blocks in it, if you dig next to it, the water block will fill up that block. So you can dig like a channel from a lake all the way across to your base, and then it'll work across. Yeah. You can fill up. This game doesn't do that. The water. So
you dig and it just leaves a space? Or?
Nah, well. So it's like water in the game is like an area effect area. So I wanted a water extractor. So I thought I was about 500 meters away from a water source. So I thought, what I'm going to do, I'm going to dig a channel from that water source all the way to my base. And I've got a water extractor now. I'm going to plonk that and basically I'm going to make like a well near my base and plonk the water, and that's going to be a water extractor. I thought it was a really clever idea. So, and it seemed to start working at first. I'm sort of working first. And as I'm drilling with my little drone, because obviously the drone go underwater, so I could drill the drone underwater and just sort of like go in a straight line. And I could see the water sort of flowing in, filling the holes that were drilling it. But then I noticed the drone sort of like the shader changed on the screen. I was like, oh, that's a bit weird. It's like the water shade texture's gone. I turned around, it was behind me. It's like, hang on a second. And I sort of like realised that the water's like an area type thing, and like that area is that's hard cut off. So if the voxels, imagine like a cylinder, which is the water, then the voxels of the train are in the cylinder and displacing the water. So if you then cut them away, the water fills them up. But once you get to the edge of that cylinder, the water stops and becomes like a wall. So I was able to walk down. I drilled a little tunnel down so I could walk down there, and I was able to literally walk through from this dry part tunnel, just walk across through this water barrier and be underwater. Yeah, it's I see why I've done it that way for resource wise, but it doesn't mean like you can't then do like clever things like drain water towards your base. They obviously if anyone was going to do that, it's like I could, but I thought hey, this is cool. I can make a water wall that people can walk through. So I'm going to make that a feature.
Sure. So you can just, oh, look, mate, there you go. Look, there's a shower. Just walk through that.
Yeah, walk through there and die. Oh,
good times.
What I was thinking of doing is like having like a door that I could lock, and I could open the door and I could get like like if I had like because this has got a multiplayer mode if you want to, I could learn Sesame Victims and get them to walk through the door into all the water and just close the door and lock it behind them. It's like it's like the reverse Sims. You know when the Sims you take the out of this pool, it's like the reverse that you close the door behind them and leave them in there.
Mate.
Wouldn't that be fun? So let me go on to base building. And this is so how base building works is because the base building is actually really clever. There's a lot of clever stuff to it, but there's a lot of really bizarre stuff with it. Because it's voxel based, which is both an advantage and disadvantage. The first thing you have to do with base building, unlike Minecraft where you can build a building anywhere, this game actually understands what your base is and actually it knows the base is yours and it can detect things that are connected to it. So to do this, the first thing you have to build is called the core. And this is the same with bases, the same as ships, so forth. It's like the first block you place, that block this is your base. And then everything connects that block and comes off from it. It doesn't be like direct, but you basically, it's like literally like it's like the supporting brick. If everything's connected to that block through other blocks, then it's part of your base. Which means you can do, because this game's got like a networking system. You can like link things up together on your base, which is really clever. But the big issue with the base building is the scale of the voxels. So for those of you who listen who may not be aware how voxel games work, voxel is basically a volumetric pixel. And rather than everything have a 2D coordinate, it has a 3D coordinate. But those are discrete coordinates. And so each block is can only have one thing in it. So if you see in Minecraft, you can't have like mixed blocks. You can't have like a sand block, half sand, half grass. It's a sand block, then a grass block. You can do things to make it look nice, but they are treated as separate things. They're independent things. That means your voxel block is basically your resolution. In the same way that you have pictures, if you have like really big, if your resolution is really small, your pixels are really big, and your image looks really shit. If you've got a really high resolution, you can't see the individual pixels so much. It looks really good and sharp. So your voxel size really makes a big depend on how well voxels work. And the trouble is, they have chosen a massive voxel size. A block is the size of you.
Oh.
They are fucking enormous.
Wow.
Now, this becomes a problem. Now, you can do things with the blocks. So it's not so you can do things with the blocks where you can for each block type you can actually right click by default. And you'll get like say I have a block of wood, so a wood block. If I right click on default, I open like a massive menu of different options I can have, and there's lots on there. You can have it as a slope. So that block is a slope. You can have it as a thin wall, which is what you're probably going to want to have for your base and so forth. But even if you have like a thin wall, that say that wall's only the 10th of the thickness of a block, it still occupies the whole block's area. That's how voxel games work. It occupies the whole block area.
Yeah, it's all or nothing.
Exactly. Where this becomes a problem is, because lots of items that are part of your base, such as light, that have to be attached to your base, such as lighting, storage boxes, anything like that, because they've got to be attached to your base to sort of like become part of it. They will not work. You can't not attach them to your base. They have to be linked to it because they network with the base somewhat. They also take up a voxel space, which means what you can't do is, let's say you have a thin wall, and let's say that wall was to the left-hand side of that imaginary cube. So that wall's filling like the last 10% of that imaginary cube. So you've got 90% empty space, and then the wall's last 10% of space. If you want to place a light on that wall, you can't, because that light cannot go in that cube. Because it's a voxel, it's another item as part of the voxel. You go the other side of it, that's fine, because then it's like the two edges mating up. But let's say you want to put a light on the inside, you can't do it. Now, if you use full-size blocks, not a problem. You can attach things to them. Now, other games, if the blocks were smaller, this wouldn't matter so much. So, 7 Days to Die, also a voxel-based game, their cubes are small. I think their cubes are about half, I think they're Minecraft scale, about half your height. which means that yes, walls look a bit weird, but they work because everything can attach to them and so forth. It sort of works. By making their voxels so big, it's very hard to make a nice looking base. Because if you use like big blocks look really shit, but you can have all the lights and stuff attached to them properly. Or you've got to be really clever, and also really clever for how you position lights on, like how you position your walls and stuff, so your lights can sort of butt up to their edge. And this means you can't put them into corners. Now, they have tried to help you out with this. So there are like different types of blocks that fulfill the role. So there'll be like a corner block that fill with two thin walls that fill a corner. There's one with a roof. But then there won't be like one. They'll like multi-purpose them. So let's say you want to have a room with a ceiling. So you pick the corner block that's got 3 sides. Okay, so 3 fixed sides.
Right.
So you got... So if you've got like side 1 is the top, then 2, 3, 4, 5, and then underneath is 6. It'd be side 1, 2, and 3, and 4, 5, and 6 would be empty space. And you can rotate this round, and you can rotate it on all 3 axes. But let's say you use that in a corner. Well, first problem is because the block is as high as you, it's too short for you to go underneath it properly. It feels really cramped. You feel like you've got the duck down. The second issue, they haven't made a block which is like a straight line with a roof. What you have to do is get the L-shaped corner and rotate it 90 degrees onto its side and butt that up against it. That is your roof section. Of course, then the textures won't line up because you've turned 90 degrees. If you want a middle of a roof, you have to get a side wall and rotate it so it's at the top and put that in the middle. And again, they don't line up. Mm-hmm. So building nice looking bases is tricky. My solution to it is basically I now build my bases underground so you can't tell how thick the walls are.
All right.
So my second base is built underground. It looks all right. And because if you build proper sized blocks, everything links up to it properly and so forth. But otherwise, it's very difficult to get a nice looking base, which is a real shame. I don't know why they made the scale so large. Because they have got smaller scale. Because the ships and stuff, like your hovercraft stuff, use smaller scale blocks. They use different scale. Which is why you can't have stuff that works. You can't have certain things that won't work on both. There's like, these are for vessels, these are for the base. Because they're different scales. And why he's doing the same small scale for everything, I don't know. It seems a weird design choice, whether it was a memory issue or reposition. But I mean, 7 Days to Die did it, so I'm not sure. And I'm not sure about that. But that sort of like makes base building tricky. They have got some things to help you out. There's like prefabs and stuff you could buy as well. But the reason why your whole base linked together is networking. So to make life easier you can basically network things your base together. So when your base is linked together, you can create one button that will display your entire base. It will display all your power systems, it will display all your generators. As long as they're linked to your base, if they're all linked, this will display. You can see like how much you've got solar panels attached to your base. You'll see how much power they're generating and put in. You can have capacitor banks. They all link together. Other neat little feature it has on it is, let's say you want to position, like put a load of blocks out. Blocks are quite heavy. They are really heavy. So in this game, items, on your grid inventory, they only take 1 square up each. Your grid inventory tracks both weight and volume. So a block, like a wood block, for example, has a volume of like 80. When your starting capacity is like 600, and you have other things as well, that means you basically only carry like 6, 7.
Yeah, sure.
These things. And so when you're building your base up and you can hold 7 at a time and they keep going back and forth, that's quite frustrating. But bringing on networking, if you have a storage container, you can go up to the storage container and you open it, and there's a little button that says networking. You click on that, it links to you. And you have like a second quick bar at the bottom here, and you can drag that storage container into that quick bar. As long as you stay linked, you can access anything in that storage container. As long as it's in that quick bar, you can access it. So if that storage container's got like 1,000 blocks in it, well, say a couple hundred blocks in it, you can drag it down to your quick bar, and then you just go around, and you can just keep putting them out, and just pull them out the storage container.
Very neat.
Very neat. And what's even more neat is, construction gear and stuff, like the more advanced construction units. So you have a portable constructor, your first base constructor. So the portable constructor has its own like resource holding area where you put resources in, and then there's like an output area, and then where it puts the outputs. With the base, that's a portable one. With the base constructors, you assign them a storage container as an input and output. They could be the same one, or you have separate ones. So you can have your constructor, you can set your constructor up to build like a load of new blocks, and it'll keep putting them into that storage container automatically. And then you can access the blocks. It's not quite a full direct quickness. You have to go and reassign them again, because it can't like link them directly through. But it means you can sort of like semi-automate things, so you can like have production going on, and you can have a storage container which you like. And these things don't have to be like in proximity, as long as they're connected to your base. That's all that matters. So you could have like your resource container right near your front door, and then perhaps the output container near the constructor itself. So you can just pop in the front door, drop a load of stuff in the resource container, and just keep popping it out if you want. Job's good. That is neat.
That is pretty neat.
That is pretty neat.
Would have been a lifesaver in Valheim.
It would have been. And this also applies to other things. For example, if you build a sentry gun, sentry guns have to have an ammo container. As long as you've got an ammo container on your base, they link up. And as long as it's got the right type of ammo in it, the sentry gun will just pull the ammo from that container and fire it. Generators, same thing. As long as you've got a full tank for your generator that is connected to the base, doesn't matter where, as long as it's connected to the base, and it's got fuel in it, your generator will pull fuel from it. There's no like wiring stuff. That is such a neat system. I mean, obviously you're going to put them next to it anyway because it looks aesthetically good. But it's such a neat little system, and it also means you can do things like you can remotely switch power on and off your base. So you can literally ring a signal saying switch all power off, or you can like put things in. It'll list everything in your base, all your like items. Are listed, and you can put them into groups. You can have custom groups or default groups, and you can just literally switch off the entire group. So you can have, for example, on my base, I have outside lighting. So, because I've set them up so that basically, I've got on my second base, it's a bit of a hostile area, so I've got lights that light up the outside of terrain, so I can see if anybody's coming at me.
Mm-hmm.
And I can just switch it all off as a group. You can buy, I haven't tried them yet, but you can get sensors as well to detect things. And you can link them to these groups as well. You can like program stuff in as well.
Just a quick. So what benefit is there to turn? Like, is there a cost, a reason as to why you would want to turn everything off?
Because it's using power.
Okay.
And your generator produces power, and obviously you have to put fuel in. And
okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can also solve that bit if you buy like solar panels. You can like get capacitor banks, which solar panels will charge up. As long as you've got enough solar panels charging them up, they'll basically keep going. So my first base, I've got loads of solar panels on it, and basically they keep the base going. And the generators there as a backup in case something happens. My new base, I've only now got solar panels going onto it. So I'm using the generator on site because generators can also overload and explode if you put too much power through them, take too much power off them.
Okay, yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, it's
that kind of. Now that you've mentioned that, I'm like, oh, okay, that's probably that would be more to me why you'd want to turn something off rather than I'm running a bit low on fuel.
Yeah,
because usually fuel's pretty easy to come up, to come by. But if the thing that you're using to power your base has a hard kind of limit, a ceiling, like you're running everything off, bang, and it just trips like a breaker, then that's pretty neat. I like that.
The fact that you can tie sensors to it as well, which is neat. It's got a lot of little neat networking options there. It's a really nice system. It works. It's really fun, and I could see on a bigger base, you like automating a lot of stuff as well. I've sort of like worked. There's an upgrade tree obviously as well, tech tree that I've only sort of like which has like level unlocks. So levels of the tech tree get unlocked to certain levels. I'm only now level 11. I've been playing the game about 16 hours. I'm now level 11. Still, although leveling up can be done quite quickly if you sort of, because you get 100 XP every time you like harvest a plant. Destroying a boulder only gets you 50. So destroying a boulder takes about 10 seconds and you get 50 XP. Or you literally water plant, click a button, and you instantly harvest, you get 100. So, I just walk past and harvest everything. And you get, and like killing like some monsters will give you like 2,000 XPs, and they're not particularly high level monsters and stuff.
See, I wonder actually the way you're saying you played it for so long and the level progression is quite slow. That's going to be a Valheim groove, dude.
That to be fair, I think it's slow because I've not been actively trying to level up. I've been sort of like I spent a lot of time like getting my base set up and so forth, not actively trying to level up. When I've actually gone for it, I've leveled up really quickly.
Oh.
So I was on like level 7, and I've gone up like 4 levels like a couple of hours. So I've gone for it. And I've gone to take out monsters and stuff. When I first did it, I was like just sort of like just general survival, just sort of like establishing a base. You know me, I like to establish a base. I like to do a bit of and then I sort of move on. So it's so many neat. So that network is really a really neat system. Crafting as well is really quite cool as well. So like I say, you have you can do basic stuff yourself. Some stuff is also free to craft because when you start, you've got nothing, so some stuff has got to be free. Or it's really cheap, and you can craft like the essentials. You can craft like basic food bars. You can craft bandages. You can't craft like more advanced medicine. You can't craft more advanced food. Only the basic stuff, but enough to sort of like keep you going in the wild at least. And if you get something really odd hit you, then you have to try and run back to your base, or you die from a parasite eating you. But what is nice about the constructors and the crafting in the game is the game will fill in all the gaps for you. So let's say I want to construct a core, and for that core I need like some glass, some silicon piping, some computers and so forth. If I've not constructed those yet, it doesn't matter. Once I click construct the core, it will check to make sure I've got all the resources to construct the bits underneath first, and then it'll construct all those as well automatically, and then construct it. So you don't worry about doing the in-between bits, you just got to do the end bit, and it'll work all out, and it'll tell you in advance if you've got everything you need. That's neat and fun and handy, because it saves you a lot of time, middle steps and so forth.
Sure.
Obviously, you've got to make sure if you're going to do that, your input, if you've got like containers, your input and your output, you need to have your input and output as the same container. Otherwise, it will carve all the mid-deem stuff and put it in the output container, and then it's not in the input one for it to work from. But the neat idea, so I like that system, and it's also fairly quick to craft stuff generally. You also have the factory. The factory is a slightly different thing. So that's where you start crafting your hover vessels, which are like planet-based vessels. Hover vessels, small vessels, which are your like basic spacefaring vessels. They're like little fighters and shuttles, and then capital vessels are the big ones. And you can build your own. You can just construct your own one yourself. And you have to, and you make sure you put all the right parts on it, all work. Or you can go for these like default ones, and you can also do ones for bases. There's also stuff for bases as well. So that's actually a nice way. So there was a point where I want to construct a spaceship, and I need titanium to get this spaceship. My plan hasn't got any titanium on it. That would have been an issue. However, I was talking about the obelisk earlier. So what I didn't notice for a very long time, so I was exploring the planet. I go to this thing called the Font of Knowledge. And the Font of Knowledge, I'm there, and something weird happens, and I get given this thing called the Key Matrix. And there's a big message in the key which says, "Do not lose this." And they aren't kidding. They're not kidding. If you lose it, you can't get another one. It's gone.
Did you lose it?
I lost it, but I'm playing single player, which meant I had console commands, and I could give myself another one. If you're playing multiplayer, you have to beg the server admin to give it to you. That is a real, why is that a thing? Because that key matrix, I didn't notice for such a long time. I don't know what this does. I put it in a storage container, I didn't worry about it, so I don't know what it does. And ages, and then one day I went past the obelisk and thought, oh, the obelisk has got a door on it. I walk up to the door and it says, key matrix required. It's like, oh, that's what the key matrix is for. So I go get the key matrix, open the obelisk up, and the obelisk is a teleporter. And there's you go to the top, there's 4 teleports to the 4 nearest planets. And you can just jump from planet to planet. It's neat. Right, great. So I teleport to another planet. First planet I teleport to, because different planets are hostile. The first planet I teleport to, hasn't got an atmosphere, so I start to suffocate immediately. Luckily, at this point, I had crafted a spacesuit with a helmet, so I could put that on. And it's also, as soon as I arrived, I started getting dosed with radiation. It's like, this isn't a good place to be. I'm going to leave now. So I left there. I went to another planet, and atmosphere is breathable. Good. No radiation. Good. Have a quick look, because if you go on, when you bring the planet view up, it'll tell you how many the resources it's got on it, and like the big resource drops, it'll tell you how many on there. And I need titanium, and bam, there is titanium. It's like, great, I found a planet with titanium on it. Right, I'll have a little explore. I've only got I've got my assault rifle, which I've crafted. I've got assault rifle, I've got my resource stuff, I've got a food base, I've got some food stuff, nothing. I'm not super equipped. But I start exploring the planet, and it's like a swampy type planet. And just sort of wandering around. Next thing I know, I get attacked by giant scorpions come running at me, attack me. Start shooting them. It's like, oh, you bastards, so forth. Managed to scare them off. It's like, hey, yeah, but this is quite tough. This is not quite as easy going as the planet I've just come from. And then these fucking bees. Like, there's these bee things. You just hear them buzzing. And if they hit you, they basically like stun you, and you walk very slowly, and you can't, and you can't move. So you're trying to shoot them, and they just drain your food while you're doing it. It's like, oh my god! So eventually, I managed to escape the bees. Why do it have to be bees? I don't know. I managed to escape the bees, and get back to. And I've got like a parasite on me that's eating into me. It's like quick, so I teleport back to my own planet, and it's basically draining my health. And I'm patching up by just taking health stuff. I do everything. Right, okay, I'll go across some the anti-parasite stuff. Because I had this between me going to this planet, I had loads of health stuff. Unfortunately,
you didn't get your vaccines, did you?
No. Well, it's a parasite, to be fair. You don't get a vaccine for parasites. But I had loads of health stuff. But what happened?
You didn't read the booklet, did you?
Well, what happened was I'd gone sort of like hunting sort of creatures to get some XP. And I'd been riding my hoverbike across this water lake, and that's when the game reloaded itself, and I didn't fall into the bottom of the lake. And because I couldn't figure out how to swim,
you couldn't figure out how to drown. I think you were pretty good at that.
I got the drowning part down pat, but I couldn't figure out how to swim, so I drowned, and I can't get it back. I couldn't get it back, basically. So I run there. It's like, okay, what do I need to save myself from this whole period? Okay, you need this one thing to craft it. Right, okay, and got that. I know what it looks like. I need to go find it. So I just start running around my planet, looking for this one thing I need. Having to keep the healing thing I'm using are bandages. I'm not sure what they're doing, but I keep applying bandages and keep getting health back, and gradually start Eventually, I find what I need. Marvelous. Get it. Get back. Craft it. That removes parasite. I hadn't read the description properly. As soon as you remove the parasite, it leads to a gaping wound which starts bleeding. So this wound is bleeding, and it's bleeding away, and my health's going really quickly, and I've run out of bandages at this point. So I quickly go across it, craft power. I'm just watching and they're very quick to craft, but watching it craft a little progress bar, and literally it crafts. I get down to the point where I've got 2 health left, and it's about to craft, and then I die. It's like, fuck. Luckily, I was in my base, which meant my respawn point was right outside the door, so I was able to go and just pick up my stuff immediately back up. But this all led because until this point, I've been enjoying the game, but hadn't quite clicked yet, because it's finding it's finding a purpose. And I talked to myself a purpose for building a spaceship and stuff. But now I had a purpose. I had to go to this other planet, a hostile planet, get myself set up, and start to find the stuff I need to build my spaceship. So I thought, I need to plan an expedition. I need to basically craft all the stuff, because it's going to be an absolute nightmare taking stuff through the portal, through a teleporter, bit by bit. So I was like, okay, what I need, I had to plan all the stuff I needed, all the materials. I need a portable crafter. I need, that planet was very hot, so I need some sort of cooling system. I need to take all the bare resources. Now, because magic, the bare resource to craft, I was going to use carbon blocks for my next base. The carbon stuff you use as your base material weighs like nothing, but when it turns to a block, it weighs like 1,000 times more. So I was going to take just the carbon stuff with me. So I've got just the base material I need. It's like, great. So I pick up all this base material. I basically load up all that base material stuff and everything I just planned. And one thing you can do is that you can use prefab bases. So what you basically do is you go into the factory and you'll pick a prefab. I said before, base of ships. I picked a base. And how they work is you have to like add to the factory the resources it needs. So it need like 200 copper bars, 200 iron bars. Some of the bigger ships need like 11,000. That's why resources are really, there's a lot of them. So I added to the base. And here's the thing with the factory. Once it's crafted it stays in the factory until you choose to spawn it. So all the weight of materials are basically don't exist.
Stays there.
Stays in the factory, hidden away. And because the factory just follows you, because it's just a menu option, I was able to teleport to the planet and just immediately plonk this starter base down where I wanted it, and boom, I'm away. I have my little factory set up. Good.
That's kind of neat.
It was neat. And because they look quite good as well. So I had to get that, and I basically sort of like, using that as like my core, I started building off it. So I built like it's got this factory. It's like very simple. It's got 4 sides. It's got like a whole little single block to the top, single block to the bottom. So what I pardon me. So what I did was dug down, and basically built like a little underground bit, fitted my control block so I could actually have control of the base. I've built a very simple underground base. I've actually got like one room's got the control block in it, one room's got a generator in it, and the one room. So I'm building it like I think like this is gonna be like an expedition base. Not anything big. I just have all the stuff that I need, and it's got to be safe. So I then put on after a while you start wanting to upgrade a bit more. So I fitted windows so I could see out. Because I've encountered hostile things on this planet already quite a lot now. I know there's nasty stuff out there. I fit lights all around the outside of it as well. Oh, you can control lights as well. You can like say, I want this light to be pulsing red every half a second. You just set it up on there. Yeah, you just customize all the lights. It's marvelous. Fitted light all outside floodlights, so they floodlight the whole area. So basically, if anything comes near me, I can see it. That's solved now because now I have a sentry turret. That sentry turret can see things like from seemingly half a mile away. You'll just see it, and frequently I'm just in my base. I just hear bum 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 as my sentry turret is just shooting and killing something the other side of the map.
Just imagine you with your feet up, reading your newspaper as you're hearing. You're like,
yeah. Have you seen the Team Fortress Meet the Team videos? You know the engineers video.
My boy likes those.
Yeah, where the engineer, and he's sitting there, and he's playing like countries on his guitar. And you just hear like, this gunfire in the background, and it's his sentry turret just shooting people as they come past him. It's just building up a little base. It's not particularly big, it's not particularly fancy, but it's now like a secure place I can now advance and go for and start now conquering this next planet, and I've got somewhere safe to go to. But it still feels very frontierish, like I've set up a new frontier. And that's sort of like, it's clicked to me now. I just want to do it more and more. And all I've done all day is basically building this base. And I was like, probably I'll be back in there this evening carrying on. Something space. So and this is all just like get some titanium to build a fucking ship. I need 170 of them. But I haven't found any yet. It's on this planet somewhere, but I've not found it yet.
He needs 170 titaniums, god damn it.
Yeah, they're on the planet somewhere. I've not found them yet, but I'm gonna find them. Let's look from my notes, see if I've talked about everything on thing. But that's the basics. That's the good stuff. That is it. It is a really, once you get into it, it took me a while to get grabbed by it. I'd say it took me a few hours to actually sort of get grabbed by it. But now I'm really enjoying it, and I want to just do more. And I want to get to fucking space. I want to be flying around in space. I mean,
why didn't you think to say, "Hey guys, should we do this for games night"?
Funny enough, we should do this for games night because I think it'll be hilarious. It's got online multiplayer. Now, the bad bits has got some very annoying things about it, and I have read there are ways you can fix these. Despawn timers are horrific. So when something dies, like an enemy, if you don't get to its corpse in a minute, it despawns it.
Oh.
That's not very long. It gets worse, though. If you drop an item on the ground, it despawns after 3 minutes. Where it becomes a problem is I was trying to... So I crafted... So the constructor has your resources, your inputs, and that input's basically a free storage. That's unlimited. You can put as much in there as you want because it doesn't worry about weight of anything. has your outputs, and obviously the construction queue. Once something comes out of the outputs, it can't go back into the outputs. You can't like use it as storage. But you can leave it in there as long as you can leave it there as long as you want. But as soon as you click on it, it's out. So, scenario: my input section is all filled up. My output's got like 100 wood blocks in it. I click on them. I go click on my backpack to put them in. It only drops off 6. The remaining 94, I can't put anywhere. Which means when I leave, they fall on the ground. They're going to despawn in 3 minutes.
Wow.
So, but now it's okay. As long as you pick some more out of them, it resets a timer. But it meant I had 3 minutes to place the blocks I had and run back and pick up the next 6 and back and forth until to reset the time every time. But here's where it gets really bullshit. You can craft a hover bike. And the hover bikes, it costs virtually nothing to craft. But once you've got it, it's really quick and really fast. And you get around really nice. It's really useful. The hover bike, after a few minutes, basically packs itself up into like a box. And after 24 minutes, it despawns. Gone forever.
Wow.
You've crafted this thing, and it despawns after a while.
That's terrible.
Well, I mean, the saving grace
It doesn't just go back to like the base
or back to your inventory. No, it despawns. The saving grace for the hover bike, and it's only the hover bike that does this. The other vessels don't do this. The saving grace of the hover bike is that it's incredibly cheap to craft. It's like the most basic resource. You only need 5 of them, and you'll come across them really easily. It's dirt cheap to craft, so it's not the biggest issue, but it is an annoying. The whole respawn timers are very annoying. Most games like this, things last for hours before they despawn. Literally hours before they real time before they despawn. Vehicles on planets don't work great. So like the hover vehicles, so there's no wheeled vehicles or hover, and the way they must work. So the hover bike's the first issue. If you have the hover bike, if you hit something, it has a nasty habit of spinning you around 180, so you're pointing back the way you just came. That's a bit annoying. So you have to make sure you don't hit anything. The bigger hover vessels, though, how they must work, from what I can see, is they try and level themselves to the train underneath them, which would make sense. And they sort of pivot around the train, which again makes sense, and it works pretty well until if you happen to go over a rock, boom, suddenly you're at an angle. And there are several times in my hover vessel, I found myself flying upside down. But not crashing, just flying upside down. And they would sort of right themselves, but they're very floaty. They're not great. They're quick to get around. They do save you a lot of time getting around. And like the hover vessels can have containers on them. The hover vessels, you can put constructors on them, you can put containers on them and stuff, which is quite neat. And because again, they are voxel based, so you can just click stuff on as you want. You can literally just build them from scratch as you want, which is quite neat.
Mm-hmm.
But they are finicky to use. I did have one. Unfortunately, I lost that when I encountered the cyborgs, and I can't go back. And I think it's still there. I'm not sure if they despawn after a while. I think it's still up there, but I'm not really up. I'm only now getting to sort of the tech level that I feel I can go up there and take them on and kill them.
Right.
And also I need to do it during the day, not at night. So that's a bit of a problem. Like I say, too long, but they're probably my 2 biggest gripes of the game. And apparently it's possible to change them if you go hacks on the game files. It's like a configuration file, and you can change them. Apparently, but they're probably my only 2 major gripes of the game. Other than that, if it's a fairly for an indie game, it's a fairly not going to say solid, but firm game. They're still updating it. It came out in 2020. They're still launching updates. They literally launched an update like a month ago. So updating this, they've been updated for 4 years. So they're still working on it, which is nice. But it is a real. It's sort of scratched it. It's the best way I can think of it. It's almost a bit like Minecraft Cross of Satisfactory. So it scratches that sort of itch of just building more. But yeah, I think this would be a hilarious game to play multiplayer. I think it'd be hilarious. Particularly as you're going together to going off like on an expedition to another planet. It's like, this is going to be really hostile. Let's plan it. Let's get the base built up as quick as we can. I think it'd be really cool. But it's and I'm not surprised. I like it because this is the game I wanted to make. It's literally like someone just downloaded the idea from my brain and made it. It is really good. So I feel I'm very pleased with it. I just know I'm just going to be after this podcast is over, I'm going to be cooking my tea, and then once I've had my tea, I'm going to probably go back on this game and play it for a few more hours.
Sure.
Because I've got my base set up now. I need to now buy. My next goal was to build another little hovercraft, little scout vessel with some guns on it, so I can shoot things, and then I'm going to find this fucking titanium. Like 8 hours of work to find some titanium.
Mate, I know that pain.
But the thing is, unlike Valheim, this has been enjoyable.
Valheim was fine until I had to get out an entire team.
But no, this is if I do think it's a game people you either love it or you'll hate it. I think it's one of those games. Looking at the reviews on it, people there's like one person put like 3,000 hours into it.
And they don't like it.
They like it. The people either love it. The Steam reviews are very Marmite. It's either love it or it's like, no, this game's just a chore game where you have to write resources. Well, it's a survival game, and they tend to be like that. It's sort of it's sort of either. They're sort of like either or. So I think people either like it or hate it. But if you like the idea of a sci-fi game where you can build anything you want, really, building your own fucking spaceship is cool. I can't wait to get to that stage. I'm not at that stage yet, but I can't wait to get to the stage I can build my own fucking ship and fly it about.
Are we going to get an update when you get to that point, or?
Yeah. Oh yes. It may take me a
while.
while.
If you still enjoy it.
It may take me a while because I'm on holiday at the moment, which means I've got time to play on it. But I'm going to probably sort of work on it, keep sort of picking away at it, and just sort of get to that stage where I go, yes, I've got my spaceship. And I don't know if you can invite if you have to you can transport invite people into your world or not. Because if I could, I'd get you guys to get a copy, and I'd invite you both. You can come join me on my little spaceship, and I'll fly you around the 3 planets, and we can go kill some things.
Well, I mean, so it lets you make a server, right? Right for multiplayer.
I don't know.
If it's anything like Valheim, it's likely just running on the exact same thing. So in Valheim, you can run a single player server or a single player instance, and then just copy those files onto a server.
Yeah. And
that world becomes the multiplayer world.
Yeah, that's what I hope. I'll get you guys all on board.
We'll see.
Go all on board, Lictopia 7.
Oh, Christ, no.
Ram, why isn't the reactor got any shielding? We don't. It's too heavy. Just make sure you did put all the anti-radiation drugs with you, didn't you? No. Oh.
You are wearing that Chris Packet suit. You'll be fine.
Yeah. You just mate. It's okay. My room's got shielding around it. Oh, good. The guest rooms are the guest rooms are next to the engines. Oh, good. Oh, good. Yeah. Oh, you can have I've seen you can have docking ports on your spaceship, so you can have like a small spaceship and dock it to your big spaceship, so you can have like your little fighters and just go land them onto the planet. Oh, I think you can have
getting excited.
I think you can also have like docking ports for the hover. I think you can also have like a docking port for the hover vessel. So I think, and this I've not tried this, so I don't know if it's true. You can have like almost like a shuttle with your hover vessel in it, which you go on the planet with. And you can so you can fly the shuttle from your capital ship down to the planet, then fly your hovercraft onto the planet to go find resources. Yeah, but anyway, that was Empyrion Galactic Survival. It is, it's so cool.
Fun times.
It is. I say it's took me some time. I won't lie, it took me probably 6 hours of play for it to click, and suddenly go, yeah, I get this. But I think because once once I had a goal, that's the thing about survival games. You need to have a goal. If you ain't got a goal, they tend to sort of like wear out after a while. In like Minecraft, the goal is usually building something great because you've got the freedom. In this, the goal is just I want to go to space. I want to go to fucking space, and I want to build a spaceship that looks a bit like the it'll be something unique, or I might build. I'm either thinking I'm going to build a spaceship that looks like Battlestar Galactica, or I'm going to build one that looks like one of the Empyrion spaceships. I can't decide which, but I'm not sure the game could handle the scale of the pure. Although I'm looking at the video footage, it looks like pure built ships that look a bit like the Stargate's Prometheus on it as well. So yeah, it's cool. It's cool, man. It is really good. I'm sure
Voxel Valheim in space,
but good.
But good.
Oh my word! I've rambled on for that over an hour by the looks of it.
Mate, you found a game you enjoyed.
Yeah, this is probably going to be my game of the year unless something puts me off it.
Wow.
I can feel it now. But then I say it's a game I was going to build myself. I wanted to build myself.
Yeah, so technically your game is the game of the year.
Yeah, this is my game.
I think I already know what my game of the year is going to be, so.
We've only played one, so.
No, it's not even out yet.
Oh, did you see? That game, Hi-Fi Rush, studio's been bought out and been picked up, and the game's been picked up by another team.
Oh, who bought it?
I could wind up and say like Bethesda, couldn't I? Let's see, Hi-Fi Rush Studio saved. It's been picked up by oh, come on, everybody. The series been saved from Microsoft. A publisher called Krafton, who published PUBG. They have plans to keep team members moving. This meant that keep Hi-Fi Rush IP alive and welcome future projects in the series. This will not change the ability of Hi-Fi Rush on other platforms, both Xbox expansion on PlayStation. But they've specifically bought the Hi-Fi Rush IP. They've not bought Ghostwire. They've not bought what's the other one they did? The other big one.
I can only think of Hi-Fi and Ghostwire, to be honest.
There's a third one they were one of their biggie ones. I can't think what it was. Let me
wait. So what? Just whilst you're searching that, what was the damage with PlayStation?
It said, the plan is to keep the team on a smooth transition. This meant to keep Hi-Fi Rush IP alive and welcome future series. This will not change the availability of Hi-Fi Rush on other platforms, both Xbox and its expansion to PlayStation.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, sure, okay. Oh, yeah, because it is on PlayStation, isn't it? For some reason in my head, I was thinking it's a Microsoft Studio game.
I've got it.
Yeah, it is, but that's because Microsoft cross-plays their games with Steam and PC because of Game Pass. So, like, in fairness, it shouldn't be a surprise because Phantasy Star Online 2
Evil Within
is now. Ugh.
I never played it, so.
I mean, in fairness, Ghostwire Tokyo. Ugh.
But yeah, Hi-Fi. So yeah, Hi-Fi Rush has been saved.
No, I'm glad to hear because apparently a bunch of folks when I was streaming it, folks said, "Oh mate, yeah, there'd be a sequel. There was supposed to be a sequel." I hope not. But current contracts go for the game, they can be renegotiated and the game will stay on stores, kind of thing.
Yeah. Wow.
There will be someone in its corner rather than waiting for licenses to expire and then just watching it fade away because that's kind of one of the more terrifying things. Oh yeah, that game studio's gone and they licensed all this stuff. Well, there's now no one's got it and no one can negotiate new licenses. So see you later. And you're like, all right.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what happened with Spec Ops: The Line.
Yeah, it's owned by somebody in some limbo somewhere, and no one knows who.
And there's like no one can be asked to renegotiate licenses on music, or something like that. And so they're like, yeah, just bin it off. I was like,
yeah. To be fair, Spec Ops: The Line, although it's part of the Spec Ops series, Spec Ops: The Line, you couldn't really sequel that, I don't think.
It's not so much that; it's just the idea that because they couldn't be asked to renegotiate licenses, it's gone.
Yeah,
you can't get it.
Yeah.
And I don't give a shit about it because, to be fair, I don't think Hi-Fi Rush deserves a sequel. But it's just the idea that if someone isn't there to stand in its corner and fight for a license, it will just go away. Doesn't matter how good the game is, it will just fade if there's no one going, yeah, shit, we had a license on. Because there's loads of licensed music in Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah.
So if there's no one there to renegotiate licenses, that game's going to disappear once licenses, end. Unless like a studio picks up and goes, all right, well, what we can do is once that all lapses, we'll just make the default mode, we'll patch it and make the default mode the in-house music.
Yeah.
From the streamer mode. But again, if there's no one there to do it, it's gone, like Spec Ops.
Sad.
Assuming that they just didn't let oh, maybe we'll just let Spec Ops go because it's fucking old, isn't it? But whatever.
Yeah, it's because he didn't understand Spec Ops. He didn't understand how good it was.
Fucking great game.
Very good game.
Great
Very
game.
Good game. Right, Skazz, anything from yourself before we tally this up?
Not a peep, mate. Not a peep.
No, marvellous. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. And I hope you didn't get put off my massive ranting on. So
Rambles episode, whatever.
Yeah. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Look forward to seeing you all on a future episode. So you can join us on our next game night, which is on the 28th of August. We are playing through Blood Bowl, and I will try and beat Skazz at some point.
You have done.
Well, once. That's only because you know how your team worked. Now he knows how his team works. Now he knows his teamwork. Everything. In
fairness, I've got I think my team's got 200 points on you or 300 points on you.
300, yeah. So it's slightly higher. So, I'm
that's that fucking troll.
Yeah.
Which, in fairness, I might as well bin off because he's a dimwit.
Yeah, I'm tempted to put my team into the campaigns to try and get some almost so I can up its skills on the skills and stuff, just to get sort of a more even match. So you can join us on that. Our next podcast will be on August the 20th, so that'll be at 8:30 GMT +1, which is, and you can find us on twitch.tv/RandNerds or mytwitch.tv/RandNetSuffolkRam if you prefer to watch that one. Not sure why you would, but there you go. You can check out our next podcast on the 29th of August here on YouTube or twitch.tv/RandNerds. So that'll be at 6:30 GMT +1. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. Until then, see you guys later. Have a good evening, and thank you, everybody. See you later.
Take it easy, guys.